Chinese airlines continue to surprise me with some of the best in-flight service I have ever experienced. The 2 flights I'm about to show you, I was left speechless by the cabin crew. So the question is really, does the rest of the experience live up to that level set by the crew? What about the seats, like spending 5 hours in this recliner? Well, join me, Dan, a full-time airline reviewer who has flown over 160 airlines in the past decade I've been doing this. I'm so excited that you're here. So today you are joining me in Bali. How nice of you to come along. Last year I reviewed China Eastern, which was better than I expected, but not exactly great. So I figured since we did Eastern, why don't we venture down south and try, China Southern. It all starts with quite a bang. As you can see, the check-in here at Denpasar Airport is impressively flashy for business class. At certain airlines, they call business class passengers PITA. At China Southern, they call them VIP. Suddenly, I remember something.
Okay, I'm having this weird feeling right now. I don't even think Oscar remembers, but right here where I'm standing is where we were checking in to leave Bali in March 2020 when we were fleeing because of COVID-19. The world was shutting down. We were going to spend like several months in Bali, but that had to be cut short. So we were here checking in for a sold out Thai 777-200 flight up to Bangkok to then fly to Europe. And the line was just so crazy. We had no priority. So we decided just to sit here against this wall and wait for the line to disappear because there was no point standing in it before we could board and check in for our flight.
A quick pass through security and immigration later, it is time for some breakfast. We opt for a restaurant instead of the lounge here in Bali, and that was definitely a wise foodie decision.
Oh my God. Forget the lounge. We went to this place called Revolver that our friend Zach and Amanda recommended. This avocado toast looks unreal. We have smoothies, we have coffee. Thank you. One last little taste of Bali before we leave.
One last taste of extremely traditional Balinese food, as you can see. At 8:20 when boarding is scheduled, we head to the gate, but to our surprise, there is no one here. Turns out everyone is already on board.
Not only did we get a great cash deal on this flight, which I'm going to share at the end of the video, but there's a very interesting backstory that I'm going to tell you as we get on board. I am so excited to check another Chinese airline off the list. Let's do this.
The backstory will have to wait for our connection, but even seeing this livery and the fact that I'm about to board it feels so special. The real special experience starts on board our A321neo though. You see, the China Southern Airbus A321neo comes in 2 configurations. This is the main one used internationally and features the most bizarre row numbers I have ever seen. The last row here in economy is row 81 on a narrow body. Explain that to me, please. Meanwhile, there are 3 rows of business, with the first row being row 5 and mine and Oscar's seats being in the last row 7A and 7C. Please explain that to me as well. Nevertheless, let me show you around as we hop on board. We are led to our recliner seats by one of the best flight attendants I've ever been served by, whose English name is Rebecca. More on her shortly. Here is our home for the next 5 hours. It definitely does the job, but download your own entertainment ahead of time because there are no entertainment screens here. Honestly, I don't have time to think about that right now because...
Literally, what is going on? This is some of the best service I've ever had on any flight, including in first class. And it's just a regional business class seat for a flight to China from Bali. Amazing.
Waiting at our seat, we have a nice plush pillow, a substantial blanket, and slippers, so we're all set. Immediately, our angel of a flight attendant springs into action, offering us hot towels and pre-departure drinks. To be fair, this orange juice isn't the most premium thing I've ever tasted, but it's served with a massive smile, so that makes the experience a bit more enjoyable, you know? China Southern does not waste time because our near sold-out flight starts pushing back 15 minutes ahead of schedule. We're lining up on the runway at 9:04, 1 minute before our scheduled pushback. Is there a better feeling in the world than your flight leaving early? Well, I can think of a few, but not many. As we blast out of Bali on one of the most bumpy runways in the world, my eyes are stuck on our winglet. China Southern's livery color combo is just so captivating. Even though it feels quite retro, it stands out in such a satisfying way. At this point, there is so much context to give on how amazing the service is that I just need to fast forward a second. So we're gonna head to my destination Guangzhou to explain the magic we're experiencing, and then we'll hop back on board.
Okay, hi, spoiler from the lounge, but we'll get here in a second. I'm on my phone just because I was taking notes of how amazing our flight attendant Rebecca was. So when we got on board, she guided us to our seat. She offers to help us with our bags to get them up. She knew immediately we had a connecting flight and to where. She said, "Oh, your connections should be fine." She also immediately asked how our stay in Bali was, which was so nice. Then once we're seated, before she gets the hot towels and the drinks, she takes out our slippers from the seat pocket in front of us and offers to unwrap them and puts them by our feet for both of us. And this is in a regional business class. This is the kind of stuff you only find in like Singapore Airlines first class. She was doing this in business class. Then when she came around to take the meal orders, she offered us dine on demand. Even though they don't really have it, she said, "Whenever you guys want to eat, just let me know." So we said, okay, maybe in 2.5 hours. She said, no problem. She told us the food options are chicken or beef. We said, well, unfortunately, we couldn't pre-order a vegetarian meal on this flight because it's a breakfast service. And she said, no problem at all. I'm gonna find a vegetarian option for you, even if it's in the crew meals. We said, no way, you cannot take the crew meals. We don't need to eat. We ate so much in the airport. That was the plan anyway. She insisted to be able to give us something. Also, throughout all of this, she's constantly smiling. She speaks amazing English too, by the way. And I think she's the one who was part of small touches, like the fact that every seat had a magazine in it with a passenger. Our two seats were the only ones with English, well, not magazines, newspapers. So we had 2 English newspapers at our seats. So she had pre-placed those there, I guess. And also throughout the flight, every single time there's like a drink service, so we have tea or whatever it may be, she offers to refill it instead of taking it. So if we have green tea, as you'll see Oscar has later, or I have a juice, every single time it's like, may I please refill this? May I give you more? And then she's constantly coming by, seeing if there's anything more she can do, such as offer us water or whatever it may be. Absolutely 5-star service.
This flight isn't supposed to be the main focus of this video, but I just had to say that. Immediately after takeoff, we are served some trail mix with a choice of drinks. There's no menu, so we just have to let the crew describe the options, and intriguingly, they have grape juice, so I asked for a glass of that. Exactly on schedule, our improvised meals are served. First, I ask for a look at one of the regular trays. This is the chicken dish for your reference. The other option is basically the same but with beef in a Chinese sauce instead. What do you think, guys? The crew vegetarian meal seems to be just green beans, so they've taken out the chicken and put these in instead. Unfortunately, China Southern doesn't offer special meals on breakfast flights for whatever reason, which is why I wasn't able to pre-order one here. I am so grateful to the crew for going out of their way to get me something to eat anyway, but obviously if you have allergies, this will be a little trickier. The rest of our flight is uneventful except for when we decide to check out the streaming entertainment and crack up when we realize the single album under the US Euro category is Michael Jackson's Thriller. I guess if you're gonna choose one album from the Western world, that's not a bad choice. The selection of movies and TV shows through this system is a good reminder to bring your own in-flight entertainment though. There isn't any Wi-Fi either, at least there isn't at this point. In case you're curious about the recline and whether you should book this on an overnight flight, here you go. The legroom is the main difference from economy when it comes to sleep here, to be honest, so no, as someone who avoids red eyes at all costs regardless of my seat type, this is a big no for me, but if you like red eyes, I'm sure you'll find this quite nice. An hour out of Guangzhou, things start getting fun again as Rebecca comes around saying, "Excuse me, the landing candy." Oh yes, how could I forget about the landing candy? As we start our descent, the crew all stand in the aisles and bow before playing what can only be described as an ad for our destination. The only thing is, it's 3 minutes long and audio only since there are no entertainment screens.
The famous Chinese writer, Ba Jing, described Guangzhou as a warm city in his work. And he said, Guangzhou is worth exploring, especially for people.
We're also given our third hot towels of the flight, so at this point I have to ask Rebecca for a feedback form so I can tell the airline just how amazing she is. If you ever have fantastic service on a flight, make sure you make it known either on board or after the flight, depending on the airline. Also, Rebecca's pen choice, taste. Our approach into Guangzhou has me feeling like a little kid with my eyes peeled out the window. There is nothing, at least to me, like landing in a new place for the first time, especially when that place is so massive and significant like this city of 19 million people. Touchdown in my fourth mainland Chinese airport. This is a mega hub for China Southern because, you know, we're in the south of China. After about 15 minutes of taxiing, we pull into our gate and bid farewell to our besties, aka the cabin crew.
Oh my god, I cannot convey how exciting it is. Of course, it's always exciting on a day when I get to fly a new airline, but when I also get to go to a new airport and a new city, it's so rare. We never transit in cities we haven't been to. I would say it's like a handful in total.
Yeah.
Cities we've flown through that we haven't visited, but this is one.
And especially in a country that is so unexplored for us.
I know, it just feels so wrong, but we have no choice. This is just a very cool afternoon regardless.
It turns out Guangzhou Airport, at least this part of it, has a lot of common sense facilities like water fountains everywhere and even free nurseries. I feel like these types of essential amenities are missing at so many airports, right?
So luckily our flight was pretty much on time. We landed just 20 minutes behind schedule. And the reason for that, even though we took off early, is that you just have to circle forever here in Guangzhou. So now we have about 45 minutes to make it to the lounge, check that out. I can't wait to show you it, and then head to our next flight. If the crew is anywhere near as good on that flight as they were on this, we're in for a good time. Rebecca was just so amazing.
To reach the connecting flight area, you need to pass through a health check, which always terrifies me in China. And then you are greeted by the China Southern desks that check your documents and let you through to security. Once past that, they spit you out into the terminal with the lounge right there. I am so excited to check this out, guys. Let's start with my favorite part, of course, the food. The selection is massive with everything from Chinese to Indian to Western options. There's also a noodle soup bar similar to Cathay Pacific's lounges, as well as burger sliders. Beyond that, we have a Haagen-Dazs truck, which is cute, and an impressive bar with all types of drinks. In case you're hungry for shopping instead, they have a souvenir shop inside the lounge as well. I'm not in the mood to get arrested for smuggling pandas out of the country, so I'll abstain from this today. In case you're in the mood to share bodily oils with your fellow humans, there are massage chairs in here as well. There are also all types of seating setups, including electric recliners.
So we have wireless charging here in the handset, and then somehow we can just recline and relax. Last year I remember being so impressed with the China Eastern Lounge, and I have to say this is similarly impressive. There's a huge selection of fresh, hot food. There's so much space to sit, different types of comfortable seats. There's massage chairs, very nice.
A way above average business class lounge, so all I can say is let's hope for an above average onward flight, huh? As I head to our gate Alpha 60, I realize we're at a bus gate, which, unlike in Doha when I get a bus gate for the 50th time in a year, actually makes me excited because it'll give us a nice tour of an airport I've never been to before. As business class passengers, we get led to the special VIP bus. China has its fair share of smart systems, one of those being this. A card they give you at the gate that you need to hand over at the aircraft to show you're where you're supposed to be.
Okay, so let me tell my China Southern story, finally. So when I was 7, we were moving houses in the UK. I was born in the UK, in London. Then we moved to a little town called Forest Row, and we lived in one house there. But then it was time to move to another one. We were renting. So we go to this house and we're shown around. The family that lived there was Chinese, but they were moving back to China. They were keeping the house and renting it out to us. So I remember so vividly going into the house. I was a huge aviation fan even at that age, and seeing a 757 model from China Southern. And I asked my mom and dad, oh my God, what is this? Where can I get one? Because I had quite a few plane models already, but I'd never seen anything like that. The owner of the house heard me say that. So when we were moving in a few months later, guess what was in the hallway when we moved in, if not the China Southern 757 model. I don't know where it is to this day, unfortunately, but it was such a vivid, special memory. I remember being so intrigued by what are these characters that are not English on the plane? What is this funny blue livery? And to this day, the livery is pretty much the same. And finally, just 20 years later, I can say that I'm flying the airline that I was given by the people who were renting their house to us when I was 7.
Getting what is essentially an AvGeek dream tour around aircraft with this nostalgic livery is what I call a good Wednesday. We even pass a few Comac ARJ21-700s, and you can't tell me these little cuties aren't on your bucket list. To me, they look like the airplane equivalent of sausage dogs, so what is not to love? Our big cutie eventually appears on the horizon in a special 787 livery. What you can't see is that it's 37 degrees Celsius or almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit, so that's fun. Inside this beauty, it shouldn't be that hot. All that's hot is that we have a 1-2-1 configuration with direct aisle access from every seat. These are Thomson Vantage XL seats, similar to what you'll find in SAS Business, among many others. And as always, with these staggered configurations, every other row is preferable. In this case, the odd numbered ones, since they're closer to the window. I am all the way back in 11 Alpha today, where we have access to 3 lavatories. There are only 28 business class seats, which makes for a ratio of under 10 passengers per lavatory, which is pretty fantastic. Now let's hop on board. This cabin looks fresher than me on pajama day in high school, and that means super fresh. I am guided to my seat here at the back by another lovely flight attendant. Now guys, just check out the difference between this seat in row 10 and mine in row 11. The latter is obviously where you want to be. China Southern seemed to have a specialty in being hot towel ninjas, because on both flights I barely had time to sit down before they hand me one with a choice of pre-departure drinks.
So for pre-departure beverages, as Oscar said, he got a coconut water. They also had a choice of water with ice, Coke with ice, or black tea. By the time they got to me, they only had water with lemon. Honestly, still a lot better than the water offered on most airlines.
The seat is well thought out with plenty of storage on the side, including a cabinet that you can close. All your charging and seat controls are here, along with your slippers, headphones, and amenity kit.
Okay, I don't know what's up with this airline and the service. I went to the bathroom to take a tissue. The crew went, oh my God, don't go to the bathroom. Ask us next time. I said, it's fine, I just need this. Got one tissue. now one of the flight attendants who was in the galley came by and gave me this, and she said, just in case.
I am blown away by the China Southern hospitality, and saying that, I realize I might sound like they knew I was coming all along. As far as I could tell, they did not to mention the fact that YouTube isn't a thing in China. That is, unless you use today's video sponsor, Saily, while you're there. Saily is an eSIM that provides you mobile data when you travel, but it is so much more than that. You see, most networks in China have become so smart that they block VPNs, and that's a big deal because China doesn't let you access things that you probably use every single day. Think Google, Gmail, even YouTube, among many others. If you use local data or SIM cards, or you connect to local Wi-Fi, you are stuck under the Great Chinese Firewall. However, and you probably saw this coming, if you use Saily to buy data in China, you can roam however you wish. Of course, Saily isn't only beneficial in China. I have used it all over the world to get cheap, instant cell phone data, and it works in over 180 destinations. And better yet, if you input code Nonstop Dan as you're checking out, you can save 15% off your first eSIM. Just scan the QR code right here or tap the link at the top of the description to download Saily today. I get about a dozen DMs from you guys every week asking, Dan, what was the name of that eSIM company you recommended? Where do I find it? I can't remember. Save yourself the trouble of having to remember and just download it today. Add the QR code right here. It's free, so there's really nothing to lose. We close the doors 15 minutes before schedule, and instead of pushing back, we start the engines and taxi straight away. I can't remember ever being at a gate where that's possible on a wide body before. What I expect to be a short taxi turns out to take 45 minutes. Thankfully, the plane spotting along the way does not disappoint, and it gives me plenty of time to answer DMs from you guys. Never underestimate air traffic in China. Finally, we blast out of Guangzhou. This feels like as good a time as any to unbox our amenity kit from Salvador Ferragamo.
This is nice!
These amenity kit combs are something I would never buy but love to have. There's some pretty crazy weather outside, but despite that, people are desperate to go to the bathroom, even though the seatbelt sign is on. Immediately after liftoff, the crew say, if you feel unwell and need help immediately, please press the crew call bell continuously. That's right. Press the crew call bell continuously. Wow, that is new. I like that idea, but of course, it would not work in most of the world because crazy people would view that as an invitation to go wild. When the seatbelt sign is finally turned off, I decide to sleep. So that's it for the video, guys. Thank you for joining. Just kidding. This is the bed though. Nice, spacious, decently private. Another place that is decently private is the lavatory, which is no frills, but thankfully there's no pee spills, so overall I'm happy. Our route today takes us along southern China and north of Hainan, which is really cool, and just 45 minutes after takeoff, our meals are being served. So this is where I realized something about China Southern. Meal quality is not their priority. It reminds me of how US airlines are also so massive, yet generally have the lowest quality onboard food in the world. We start with a drink and the same trail mix as on the previous flight, and again, even this long flight doesn't have menus, and the crew don't tell me the different options, so you'll have to guess with me. This is the regular amuse-bouche, which looks like Logan Paul and Mr. Beast have something to do with it. After that, I'm served a dish with my special Oriental vegetarian meal, tomato soup. After that, my special appetizer of tofu with a juicy dehydrated shiitake mushroom and a salad. The best part of this entire meal is the salad because this dressing absolutely slaps. These are the regular appetizers. Okay, moving on. My main course consists of various stir-fried vegetables with rice. It's not bad, I guess. Compared to one of the regular dishes that the crew comes by with, whatever this is, I'll say mine seems more appealing. For dessert, a red bean soup and some fruit. I am obsessed with grapefruit, so I'm not mad about this. The regular dessert is ice cream and or this cheese plate. Moral of this flight, eat in the lounge. On this flight, I'm being taken care of by Tina, who is incredible. Not quite on Rebecca's level because no one is on Rebecca's level, but she is super attentive and randomly comes by to check if I've connected to the free in-flight Wi-Fi. I go, I didn't know there was free in-flight Wi-Fi. Nice. Another thing that impresses me is the entertainment system. There are so many Western films that the selection frankly puts many Western airlines to shame. Also, can we just acknowledge how immaculate this film selection is? I have no idea what to choose because there are so many good options. I work for the next few hours until it's time for our next meal, good times. We start out with more hot towels and then the confusion starts. This meal, for reasons I truly cannot understand, is breakfast, even though it's 10 p.m. in Guangzhou, and oh, the local time when we land will be 7:30 in the evening. Everything is served from this cart with cereals, milk, and a lot of fruit. As part of the special meal, I'm also served a salad with more tasty dressing, so that's nice. We also have a tiny hot main, which is pumpkin congee. Needless to say, the onboard catering brings down an otherwise really solid experience. Before I know it, we have started our descent. All in all, I'd say this was $1,200 well spent. China Southern delivers an impressive experience in all aspects besides catering, which is the opposite of impressive. Given that China Southern is so cheap in so many markets, I mean, you can fly from Seoul to Dubai for just $600 one way, I have to say they offer very good value for money. So that is it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I just want to give you a quick little note because do you know what next Friday is? Not this coming Friday, but Friday the 29th of November. That is Black Friday. And let me tell you, if you have been considering joining my Points Master program to change and level up the way you travel, that will be the time because there will be an incredible deal coming up so you can join hundreds, literally hundreds of other Nonstop Dan viewers upping your travels, flying first or business class at huge discounts without even using credit card points, just by finding the right deals to buy airline points and then redeem them wherever you live in the world. I'll teach you how to fly Emirates first class, Qatar Airways business class, Singapore Airlines business class, Virgin Atlantic business class, and 70 plus other airlines across 7 different airline frequent flyer programs. This is the time, guys. What can I say? If you want to be one of the first to be informed about the sale and also learn everything you need to know about PointsMaster beforehand so you can make an educated decision when Black Friday comes around, you can enter your email at the second link in the description below or by scanning the QR code right here. I promise you will not regret it. So on that note, I'll see you all in my next video very, very soon. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Until I see you next time, fly safe.